Well, hello there everyone. Hopefully, this is all going out live and everything should be connected. If it is, well, fantastic. Hello there. If not, then there's going to be many complaints because, well, YouTube's shit, so... Let's see if the new studio is working. Hello there. If not, then there's going to be many complaints because, well, YouTube's shit, so... Okay, so... The studio is connected. Am I talking over myself? No, I am not talking over myself. That's... YouTube Studio is awful. I have to listen to myself there because it... Yeah. And now we've got the strangely pitched down bug. I'm not sure how to fix that. It might be a case of relaunching things, it might not. So give me a moment and I shall return and we'll see if I'm able to fix it. So wait right there, chat. I will return in a few seconds and see if this will fix it. We'll see. It's all experimental at this point in time. So un momento, por favor. Okay, so I should have reconnected. There we go. Okay, we've reconnected to YouTube. I must now do the stupid retarded thing where I now have to listen to myself again and I blame YouTube for these problems, so give me a moment there. I blame YouTube. There we go, we fixed it. Right. Fucking hell. I have no explanation for why these bugs sometimes happen. I think it's... yeah, it is. It is a really weird bug. I have no explanation for it. The closest thing which I've found to it is something to do with the audio outputs that you use. So, like, if your desktop audio is going to headphones, but the software that you're using, like OBS, is outputting to speakers, then it sometimes pitches down because of bitrate different. Someone tried to explain it to me once. It's like, if you're outputting to this audio source at this bitrate, and then this other audio source at this bitrate, if the bitrate is half what it is, so if one of them, it's like, the number is 2, and then the other audio source is 1, because it's half the amount of data, it results in it being pitched down. It's something like that. Like I said, someone tried to explain it to me once. I don't know anything about how audio software works, but someone explained it to me. Someone far wiser and more knowledgeable than I am explained it to me once, and I just kind of sat there and went, yeah, sure, that sounds like an explanation. It sounds like an explanation, if nothing else. Hey, so, chat, how are you? I feel like it's been a long time since, I feel like it's been a while since we've had a chat. So how is everyone out there? Barry White is gone. Yes, I am afraid that Barry White is gone. I'm not quite pitched that low. Not yet, anyway. As someone in chat says, white lives matter. Yes, they do, chat. White lives do matter. Someone says it's not a bitrate issue, it's a pitch shifting feature of OBS, as always. I wasn't aware that OBS actually had a pitch shifting feature. It wouldn't surprise me. There's plenty of filters in there. But I have heard explanations, and I can't fix it, unfortunately. You just have to kind of throw everything at the wall. Someone is feeling okay? Excellent, that's good for you there. Someone says that deer lives matter. Well, deer lives do matter. I might go so far as to say that deer lives are the most important. Someone is suggesting emerald lives matter. Well, chat, as we all know, all lives do matter. However, that's not actually the case. I have found... why did I not save this one? Well, actually, I did save it, but why did I not prepare it? Because I knew people were going to tell me that all lives matter. And there was a wonderful response which was issued to this statement. Where is it? Ah, here we go. Right, now let me try and do this on the fly. I will pull this up for you, because chat, I believe you may be mistaken when you say that all lives matter. Now, I have tested the audio for the desktop. This one should work, but someone did make the mistake of saying that all lives matter. And, well, we got the Black Lives Matter response.
Oh my god. Yo, what the fuck?
Black lives matter.
Woohoo.
All lives matter.
No, all lives don't matter, sir. Black lives matter. Come on, thugs. Come on.
That's right, chat. I am afraid that all lives do not matter, chat. Black lives matter, not all lives. Just black lives, not all lives. Expressly stated there. We can call it a black and white issue if you'd like.
Oh my god. Yo, what the fuck?
Black lives matter.
Woohoo.
All lives matter.
No, all lives don't matter, sir. Black lives.
So there we go, chat. If anyone ever tells you that when they say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying that other lives don't matter, well, chat, here you go.
All lives matter.
No, all lives don't matter.
All lives matter.
No, all lives don't matter, sir.
All lives matter.
No, all lives don't matter, sir.
So, well, there we go, from the horse's mouth, as it were, chat. All lives, in fact, do not matter. It is, in fact, just black lives. Ah, just that feeling when the mask slips a little bit. It just, ooh. And the thing is, I'm actually quite amazed that, that was obviously a British police there. I'm very surprised that, they didn't straight up fucking arrest them for a hate crime there. Going by the accent of the person saying, no, all lives don't matter, they sounded like they were black from London. Like, London has a bit of a regional accent anyway. It varies a bit, because obviously London is, it's divided up into all sorts of different areas. There is a sort of pseudo-segregation in various areas of London, but it's a distinctly sort of East London kind of accent there, and it had a little almost Ebonic inflection. Now, it's not proof of anything. There are white people in London who do talk like that because they try to sound cool by afflicting a slight Ebonic accent. It's quite pathetic, but there we go. But I am amazed that that person was not arrested. I can only assume that it was just a little point of black privilege there anyway. Good morning to someone in the chat who has just said good morning. Good morning to you, sir. It is still morning here. It will be morning for about 7 minutes. Then we will all be able to say good afternoon to each other, as we should. However, chat, we're not here to talk about London. We're not talking about... You're talking about chavs. Yes, I'm talking about chavs, chat. I am talking about the chavs. I don't like to use the word chav because, unfortunately, we have an international audience here, and so they might not be aware of what a chav is. But, yes, chavs. It's a small stand-in phrase for council house and violent, which is a fair description of some of the working classes in London. Not all of them. Most of them are all right, actually. Most of them are stand-up people for the most part, but you do get the odd complete and utter yob. And good evening to someone else who presumably is in an evening zone, possibly. Where in the world is evening at the moment? Stryer? Fucking Stryer, cunt, maybe? Not sure. Uncouth delinquents. Quite right, chat. So, as chat has correctly pointed out, we are not here to talk about London or the chavs. We are here to talk about CHAZ with a Z. Although apparently in the last 24 hours it has been renamed, it has been reassigned, it has changed its identity, and it is now CHOP for some reason, because I don't know why they've decided to change the name. I think it's because calling it, what was it, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone made it sound unusual somehow, so they have apparently changed it to Capitol Hill... I can't remember what the O was, but it was something protest. Occupational protest, occupied protest, something like... It was something along those lines, but they decided to just change the name because why the hell not? So, for those of you who I suppose have been living under a rock, let's talk about CHAZ or CHOP or BLM, just the occupied zone, whatever you want to call it. So, Capitol Hill is a place in Seattle, and it has been overtaken by anarcho-communists and Black Lives Matter groups. At this point in time, though, I would suggest that there really is not very much of a difference between the two. You'll find that BLM and general feminist organizations, anarcho-communists, anarcho-syndicalists as well, all of those sorts of things, they're all very much of a muchness, I'm afraid. There's basically a 99% overlap between all of them. Soymalia, as some people are calling it. I do like the term Soymalia. I find that one quite amusing. So it's very interesting seeing how the mainstream media is handling this. So this is, of course, from the Seattle Times. And I find their description very interesting. So they call it a new protest society centered on a handful of blocks of Seattle's quirky lefty Capitol Hill. So it's interesting that they're calling it, it's quirky, it's different, it's interesting. There's definitely not any vegan swaler. I like that. I like that vegan swaler. That's pretty good, actually. That's fantastic. So, yes, as someone is pointing out, it is a commune. Yes, they are trying to claim that it's a commune anyway, as of course with most communes, especially communist and socialist communes, it is of course reliant entirely on the capitalist economy that's all around it. But we'll get on Todd Sylvania. Fantastic. But it's fantastic watching the media. As chat correctly points out, the media is vigorously tonguing their arseholes. Yes, it is. The mainstream media that you'll find about this is reporting on this as if it's just a commune. It's basically, it's like the summer of love. There's just people there. It's all spontaneous. There's no organization or anything like that. It's just, and it's just fantastic. It's just wonderful. It's just a quirky lefty vibe. Isn't this just how the world would be if the Democrats run everything? But I find it very funny because, you see, this is the first thing which I found very amusing. There are, of course, bollards all around this commune. There are, as the media has called it, light fencing. Light fencing. Because, of course, most of the mainstream media that you'll find, not only in America but worldwide as well, a lot of it has, of course, been spending the last 3 and a bit years, or 4 years, I suppose, probably by now, screeching relentlessly that walls and fences are racist. Because, of course, Donald Trump, in his presidential campaign, made several references to enforcing border security on America's southern border with Mexico. And of course, because he started talking about putting up a wall, walls and the use of walls became a synonym for racism. So of course, these people, when they set up walls and fences and barricades all around their communes, and they are patrolling them with armed guards, well, you see, that's not really a border. It's not even a wall. It's just some light fencing. It's just a little bit of wood here and there. There's maybe a little bit of chain linking, some flower pots or something. It's definitely not a wall or anything like that. Definitely not a wall. And it's quite interesting, of course, because CNN, predictably, are making the assertion that right-wing media says that Antifa militants have seized a part of Seattle, whereas the local authorities say otherwise, which of course is not the case, because there is a very definitely labelled off area that they have taken, basically, where there is a massively reduced police presence in that area. But it's fascinating how they're just trying to make it sound like, oh, this idea that this land has been occupied, has been colonized, if you will. This land which has been colonized by the far left. That it's just a right-wing conspiracy theory. That there's nothing happened. There's actually nothing happening there. It's business as usual. Nothing weird is going on there at all in any way whatsoever. That was, of course, until they started creating what is very amusingly a hierarchy of power. There was a person who became a sort of de facto leader initially, who I haven't been able to find a huge amount of information about. The rumours, and I will stress that they are rumours that I've heard because I've not seen any particular photos of this person or very much written about them because they've been replaced by someone else who you do know. That there was originally supposedly a trans person, I think it was, who was their de facto leader, who was accused of various sexual crimes and was ousted and replaced with Raz Simone, pictured here in his finest bulletproof vest and automatic weapon ensemble. He and his gang of armed people have become a sort of de facto governing body of this area, almost. They play a very large role in not only securing the area, but they also have they've basically become a police force. In fact, I believe Raz put out a statement actually saying, "We are the police now." And of course, they hold a fair degree of sway in the self-governing of this commune that they're trying to set up. There's a document going around talking about how they're going to have a council, basically, where supposedly everyone is going to be represented, rather interestingly represented by representatives, so it's not a direct democracy, which is what they normally screech about wanting. It is a representative democracy that they are establishing, that they have established with borders and armed borders guards who are checking the ideological purity of people within the commune, which is fantastic to see, frankly. Let's give you a little speech that was put up by one of the people at the beginning of this event. I think that it will enlighten you a little further as to what's been going on.
Though, because I have a message for whites. Good evening, whites. You're here. I would appreciate. I am a funny person, so it may seem like what I'm saying is jokes, but if you're white, I only want you to respond for the next little bit. Just practice silence for a little bit. How about that? I know that people say white silence is violence, but God, I wish you'd shut up. You think it's a joke, it's not a fucking joke. Shut your goddamn mouth. So, I woke up today really fucking angry. And I'm angry most days. I said I'm not a very hopeful person. But I'm going to do something today that I stopped doing because, which is educating white people, because I don't think you know how to listen. I genuinely believe that it's not one of your best traits. As far as I can tell, murder is. So, I'm going to try. If you can listen, I will be surprised. But if you can't, fuck it, I tried one last time. For the rest of you, again, you can tune out, fucking do whatever you gotta do. White people, I had the good fortune to go to Standing Rock for a little bit, and I was there right before all the white people showed up. There was probably like 5,000 Native people. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. Thank you. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm from a Native community, and I still have yet to experience anything like that, where a wonderful friend of mine likes to say that we weren't free yet, but we could see what it looked like. And it was wonderful. It was a beautiful place. And then over a weekend, white people showed up. And you fucked it all up. You fucked it all up so fucking fast. It was unbelievable how quickly you decided that you needed to help. And you know what you fucking did? You colonized the goddamn movement. You fucking took charge. You decided that you would help with the groceries. You decided that you would help with the protest. You decided that you needed to be in the fucking front. And you know what you did? You sucked the life out of us. Because you don't know, even in trying to help, you don't know how to do anything but consume. And I hardly can blame you, because I don't know when your soul died, but it was a long time ago. You have
So yes, white people done fucked everything up that they touch. My favourite part was you thought you had to come and help with the groceries. So basically, white people, you showed up, you helped organize, you gave them money, you gave them food, you gave them everything, but no, you whitey, you fucked it all up. In fact, white people, you don't even have souls anymore, apparently. White people and souls? Nope, doesn't exist. The only people who have souls are non-white people, because this is how they are talking about this, which is quite amusing to me, especially talking about the grocery line there. Because, well, we're going to talk about the groceries a little bit, but I just kind of want to show you some of the borders which have gone up around this commune, as it were. Keep in mind, borders, what's the chant that they normally use? No borders, no walls, no USA at all, or something along those lines. Well, there are, of course, borders. There are fences, as you can see. There are bollards. Now, I don't want to make it sound as if... I don't want to make it sound as though this is a completely 100% strictly enforced thing where they are shaking people down at the border. Because if you look at some of the video footage of the entry points, let's blow that up here, you can see some of the entrance points in videos like this. You just kind of walk up to them. For the most part, you just kind of walk in and out. But there is still a pseudo-police force, which is obviously in the hands of the gang members who have decided to take charge of this place. And rather interestingly, about the borders that they have erected in this place, even though you've got a fair degree of freedom of movement, they have in fact begun having evictions. They have ousted people, they have deported people who do not pass their ideological purity test.
Hold on. Who don't matter? This motherfucker. 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 They non-violence, bitch, I'm not.
Most people have been following my streams.
You want me to pull your panties down? I'll pull your fucking panties down, boy. Your ass out here. Bitch, don't come back.
Yeah, I'm the guy that you might have seen that film.
Don't go away, man, bitch. Just go away.
So we're almost out there.
Who don't matter?
I want to know
this
what brought
bitch
you out
don't
here.
matter.
That's what I want to know.
Punk ass out of here. Why you talking to that motherfucker?
I'm not just a random. I'm the one who got a lot of that footage that went around the world, like the umbrella and all.
As people are pointing out, nice little bit of social distancing engaging there, and wonderful examples of infighting, and of course this is their form of self-policing, which of course, as you can see, is basically gangs going around rounding up people who don't pass their ideological purity test, and ousting them from the community under threat of violence if they do not go. And I've got to love the pseudo-rape threat there. You want me to pull your panties down? Boy, I'll pull your panties down. Which just, it sounds like exactly what it, well, we know exactly what he was thinking. It was as always the glorious big black cock. Look at that guy. Look at him on the screen there. Oh, I'd like to try and use this as often as I can, but it's not easy to get the big black cock on the screen there. But there we go. We did it. We found a way of slipping it into the screen. So, rather interestingly, there is no heresy allowed within this government. You are not allowed to question the new rule of this state. So, basically, 2 days, I think it was. There's something else which happened on day 2, which is very interesting. But so far, about 48 hours, the anarcho-communist state, which doesn't want walls, doesn't want borders, doesn't want police, they established a border, they policed that border, They enforced that border with weapons. They created an armed police force, and they've started deporting people. They're doing really well at this anarcho-communism thing. I can really see how it's very different from the current place that they live in, the current state that they live in. Of course, what is very interesting is the massive amounts of sexual assaults and rapes which are happening in this area, which of course the mainstream media is not talking about. But there are conveniently videos which have surfaced of such things. Not all of them I can show you, obviously, because this is YouTube, so I have to show you one of the more humorous ones, and the only reason that this one is able to be shown is because it's humorous, even though by their own standards it would be classed as sexual assault. So, in CHAZ, the glorious anarcho-communist state that it is, the anarcho-communist commune that it is, religion is not allowed. And we know this because there was a street preacher, someone who decided to go and preach the gospel in the streets. Now, I have no particular love for these people who stand in the middle of a street and hurl out their religious whatever it is that they want to say. But I don't think that any violence should come to them for doing so. You know, you're not upset, you're not attacking anyone, you're not violating anyone in doing this. You're just standing there shouting. You know, I can deal with that. However, communists cannot. And this is one of the things which happened, and it is a full-on sexual assault.
Get right with God.
It should be noted here, of course, they are attacking this man as well. We'll look more about the attack later, but check out the good old sexual assault going on here.
It's a love hug. Lord Jesus, give me strength for the battle.
What does it feel like to get hugged by a homosexual? What does it feel? What does it feel? Want to kiss you on the face? What do you speak your tongue?
Glory to the King.
I'll kiss you on the face, buddy.
Glory to the King eternal.
There we go.
King. Glory to the King.
What does it feel? What does it feel? Want to kiss you on the face?
First of all, you're getting hugs from the homosexual man, and there we go.
I'll kiss you on the face, buddy.
Get those kisses right on in there.
Glory to the King.
What a strange world that we live in. Very interesting that we just have some guy, just a homosexual, coming on up, hugging this guy, kissing him all over the face. There was no consent given. There was nope, didn't like it. Yep, as someone else in chat is pointing out, you're choking yourself, you know, while you've got your arms around this guy's neck. Yeah, you're choking yourself there. But yeah, this is sexual assault. By the far left's own standards, this would be sexual assault, and this is being socially supported by this gang of left-leaning anarcho-communists. They are totally on board with this. This is state-enforced homosexuality going on here, which is just fantastic. It is amazing that this is something which is going on here. Of course, that's not where it ended, because of course, look at me, I'm the police now. They of course have gone full-on police brutality, I suppose you could say, with this guy.
Grab his leg. Someone grab his leg.
This is autonomous capital zone.
No one is trying to hold you captive, but you cannot play the speaker anymore.
Yes, I will.
You cannot. No, you cannot.
We will.
You cannot.
We will.
No one is holding this man captive. No one in this video, no one here that you can see on this screen is holding this man captive. I just want to be clear on that. No one. He is not a captive.
We will pray reach the kids. We will talk about our kids.
Yes, we will.
Packet the shit.
Hang on.
Rock knock all of our shit. Jesus. Give me the power of sense. Give me the spirit of the Lord.
I need help. Fuck, dude, put the speaker down. I need fucking help. I've got this man's arm. I need help.
No, guideline, stop! Let go of my property!
I need help.
Let go of my property! Let go of my property!
Somebody fucking grab him.
You're hurting me! You're hurting me! Help!
Hey, just chill.
Let go of my spirit.
Just chill, dude. Here we go.
Why is it all about you guys? This is America.
Let
go! This is America.
God damn it!
Hey,
Let go!
Let go of me!
There you go. We're done. I don't indigenous voice.
Go get it back. Chokehold!
Stop choking yourself.
You're choking me!
Luis, let him go. Luis, let him go.
I find that one very disturbing to watch. But these are people who are just there, like, stop hurting yourself. You know, it is people restraining stuff. We're not restraining you while you're pinning him down. We're not choking you while you've got your hands and arms around his neck. You're stealing his stuff. You are just ripping the amp out of his hand, just robbing him full on here. Like, and it's just watching someone attacking people while screaming, "We are not attacking you. Stop attacking yourself." Like, this is one of the most disturbing bits of video that I've seen coming out of this. It's fucking awful, frankly. Like, screaming that you're trying to help this guy while you're pinning him down in a fucking armbar, and he's screaming, "Get off me because you're hurting," and you're not doing... Like, it's just fucking awful. But, you know, this is anarcho-communism in action, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they make this work. They lynch you in the streets, they forcefully remove you from areas where they think you're not supposed to be, and all this guy is doing is standing in the street with a microphone and a speaker, which plenty of other people are doing in this place. At night, this place is basically a giant fucking street rave. But he's just doing this, you know, with a speaker, microphone. He's not hurting anyone. He's not violating anyone. He's exercising his right to freedom of speech. Okay, you don't like what he's saying. That's fine. But you don't get to do this to him. You don't get to pin someone down, sexually assault them in the streets, pin them down again, and then assault them and rob them. You don't get to do this. But this is well, welcome to CHAZ, welcome to communism. This is what happens all the fucking time. How many lights are there, chat? Is it 4 lights or is it 5? How many? Tell me. Because this is what happens. There are no rights in this place. They think that they are. They talk a big game about it. But this is what it comes down to. Mob rule every fucking time. Speaking of the 2-day law, which is rather interestingly the 2 days which is happening here. Because communism is communism, and it always happens this way, they established their little area, and, well, what should happen on day 4? They ran out of food. Because they are communists, they decided, well, food needs to be free for everyone. Food is a human right. You shouldn't have to pay for it. It should just be given out to everyone for free. So, of course, homeless people showed up because, well, you're doing charity. You know what? Good for you. You're giving out free food. You are engaged in charity. Good. Charity is a good thing and more people should do it. But of course, what happened was a swarm of homeless people came up and took all of their free food because, well, homeless people being homeless, they don't get a whole lot of food, so they see free food, they're kind of like, huh, that's free food. Yep, I'm gonna have me some of that, because why not? And I love the request. We need more food to keep the area operational. Please, if possible, bring vegan meat substitutes, fruits, oats, soy products, etc. Fantastic. Whoever would have imagined that that was the kind of thing that would go on there. And yes, as chat is pointing out, yes, the homeless people do deserve it more. Homeless people, they should be helped as far as possible. The act of charity goes a very long way, and I fully support acts of charity. So, 48 hours, and they have run out of food. I mean, this is speed-running communism at this point. 48 hours, and you've got nothing left to eat. Fantastic. So, what was the solution to the running out of food and the need to get more food? Because, of course, food is eternally coming in. Because people go outside and they buy their own food to bring back in. In fact, I'd love it if I can quickly find... Can I quickly... Yes, here we go. This is one of the things which I find to be hilarious. Because, as always, communism and communist states like this always rely on outside aid. They always have and always will. Anything socialist, anything communist, always relies heavily on capitalist countries and their exports. And so, what happens when, you say go to a Reddit page of people who are just basically going, dear, conservatives are pointing out that we're not autonomous yet. No one is expecting you to be fully autonomous. But when your response is things like this, like, you've run out of food, and we're all laughing at the fact that you've run out of food. You don't have to be conservative to laugh at the fact that you've run out of food. The fact that you run out of food just proves how poorly planned this was. And your response to someone pointing this out is, yeah, well, I don't think that maybe our community garden started so that people can work with their hands might not be an agricultural powerhouse. It's a good thing there's still grocery stores in easy walking distance. Yes, those grocery stores which are not in your autonomous zone. Those grocery stores which are being propped up by capitalist farmers selling their food on capitalist markets so that they can go into capitalist shops and wait for you to walk in and spend your capitalist money to buy that capitalist food. Fascinating how that always happens. Like, it was not planned. There was no plan to this. And we can tell that there was no plan to this because they decided, well, we do need food, and so we should establish a commune garden. And you know what? Commune gardens, great. Go ahead and start one. I am all in favour of communal gardening efforts. Here in the UK, we have these things, they're called allotments. You can rent them normally. You normally either rent a plot within a larger plot, or you just pay for access in a plot and then you fence off the little bit that you want. It's a fairly common thing in the UK. They've fallen out of fashion a little bit in the last sort of few years, but since World War II, they were reasonably common. And so I'm all in favour of people starting communal gardens. However, as per, well, the meme which I've put up on the screen for you here, the little holder page while we're chatting about this, of course, the people who are engaging in this anarcho-communist effort are, for the most part, seemingly spoilt middle and upper-class kids who are LARPing as proletariats. Which is why when they attempted to establish a garden, well, shit. So, this is the lush, green, beautiful garden. It's basically Eden. They have basically established Eden all over again here. Look, this is gorgeous, amazing. how could you... If only you knew how bad things really are. Oh god, this is fucking atrocious. Okay. So, what they have attempted here, as someone says in chat, as a farmer this hurts my soul. I know the feeling. I myself have a vegetable garden. I have many raised beds full of food at the moment. It's fantastic. You know, I've got my 6x3 planters, you know, I've got my potatoes in there, I've got all my brassicas, that's all my lettuce, broccoli, leeks. What else is in there? I've got some kale in there as well. I'm growing sweet corn just for fun, because why the fuck not? I've got my beans, I've got my green beans, my purple beans, my broad beans, I've got my peas, I've got my mange too. What else is there? I've got some onions, I've got carrots, parsnips, spring onions, and I've got some berry bushes in another one, but they're not going to be coming up till next year. It's always the previous year's growth that berries grow on, and they're new plants this year. So it is true, chat. I am just a humble farmer tending my tendies garden. It's true. And this, seeing this makes me so... I have to laugh at it, because otherwise I will cry. So, what they are attempting here, and what they are failing at here, they've clearly decided that they are going to try a no-dig method of doing things. Yes, chat, I do have the green thumb. I'm not even done. My garden is about 1/3 completed. I've still got to put in the greenhouse. I've got to put in the propagation houses. I've got another couple of beds which need building. I've got another 2 brick beds to build, which is going to have fruit trees, and I've got loads of stuff that still needs to be done. We're not even halfway there yet. And I look at what I'm growing, and I look at what these people are growing, and I'm just like, bitch, this garden is not even going to supplement one person's diet, let alone feed the 10,000. This is not going to... No, this is not going to work, okay? You need to start all over. So what they're trying to do here, it looks like they're trying to do a no-dig or no-till system. And what that means is you put cardboard down, as you can see, and then you put your dirt on top of it. It's a really good method for doing things like potatoes. Because obviously potatoes, if you put them in the ground, they have a habit of putting roots down, and then you get potatoes really deep down, and you don't always get them all, and so they tend to just come back over and over and over. And so if you do this, you don't have to dig nearly as much. You can just kind of push the dirt to one side, and it's like, oh look, potatoes, amazing, fantastic, just hundreds of potatoes. And there are videos you can find on YouTube, people who do things like, oh, we're going to plant 2 or 3 kilos of them using a no-dig method like this, and they pull out, you know, 20 or 30 or something like that at the end. It's a good way of doing it. However, it is terrible for the stuff that they're trying to do here. So, I mean, first of all, I'm just looking at the dirt that they've got. It's in no way, there is no consistency to this at all. Fuck knows what kind of soil they're using. It's incredibly inconsistent. They haven't tilled it in any way at all, which of course you'd probably want to do using this. They've just to sort of level it out and get your furrows so that you can get all your seedlings in, and it would just be much better if they did that. You'd have these deeper points, and then you'd have the little shallower points in between them, which it would look nicer, it would be more organized, it would be very successful. And that's not what's going on here. And of course, one of the problems that they've got here is, if you look at the weather of the area that they are in, apparently Seattle gets quite a lot of rain. And that's going to fuck this garden royally. They are going to get massive root rot problems with this, because, yeah, cardboard, when it gets wet, has a fantastic ability of accumulating mold, and that is going to destroy the roots of most of these plants. And yes, as chat points out, they have 0 life skills. Yes, they have 0 life skills, because if they had life skills, they would not be doing it this way, because this way is fucking retarded. And yes, as chat says, if it doesn't wash away, yes, that is another risk of doing this thing on cardboard. If you get a lot of rain, the compost that you've put on top of it can eventually run off, because obviously you've put your cardboard down, then you put stuff on top of that. You've created a high point. When water hits a high point, it likes to go to low points, and it'll take very small amounts of dirt away with it. It's generally awful. And you just look at these things, and this guy and his face, or girl and their face, I can't tell. This person and their face, looking at this, if only you knew how bad things really are. That is the face of that statement. Like, this is just... And I've tried to identify what the fuck it is that they're growing in this place. I've located, I think, a few tomato plants. I think there's one there and one there. I think there's a couple over there somewhere. This weird tufty stuff, it looks like it might be leeks, maybe, because they look kind of like they're leeks when they're growing. They look kind of chivy, and then they grow up bigger from there. So, but I'm not sure what that is. One of the pots they had here looks kind of like basil, perhaps. They do have some lettuces. But I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, look, if we assumed that this is going to all come to fruition, all of this is going to grow up nice and big and strong and healthy, and it's going to actually create food. They have flowers, of course, in the garden as well, because why not? Yeah. If that happened, if you actually managed to get all of this food up to fruition, this will not be enough to even feed one person. Like, not even close. Like, this will, at best, supplement one person's diet for maybe a month if you used it sparingly. Like, I just look at it and I'm like, the people who have set this up, you have never done this before, have you? Like, you've never even tried at growing anything, because like, they would have been better off leaving most of this stuff in pots, honestly. Especially things like tomatoes. You just put them in a big enough pot, you can just leave them, they'll be fine for a season, and then you just dump the dirt out, replace it, and you're away next year. Like, much easier. It might be wheatgrass. That is possible, actually. It might be little tufts of wheatgrass. Like, I really can't tell. It's just awful. Everything that they're doing is just fucking awful. There are some more of these. In of course, a breaking development, they established yet more borders. Because, of course, they did. And the funniest thing about the borders that they established around their garden, it is, of course, that, well, someone, I think, went in and tried to tidy it up a little bit, because presumably they felt sorry for the plants, which I did as well. So in a fantastic act of racism, they have put a fence all around the plants. They have caged the plants in so that they can exploit them for their capitalist gains. It's not very in line with the permaculture thesis here, people. You know, that way you need to just plant your food forests and just wander around like this stuff, this intensive farming method. No, very exploitative. Very exploitative. You wouldn't want to be doing that now, would you? Have I addressed the dairy cow situation yet? I have not addressed the dairy cow situation. The reason being, I'm not entirely sure about the dairy cow situation. I know there was a rumor that someone brought a cow in or was going to bring a cow in, and that's kind of where the story ended. I wasn't able to find a whole lot more about it. Like, I don't know if they actually did bring a cow in or whether they brought it in. And they have cows. They don't have cows. There was rumor of a cow. Like, that was it. And I don't know whether they did or not. As someone in chat has pointed out, yes, they would have been better if they just tilled the whole park. Absolutely. That, if they were going to do this seriously, that's what they should have done. Just be like, okay, we're just going to till the whole thing. We're going to separate areas out and we're going to plant small gardens of whatever we need and just line it all up like that. Or you could do sort of a pseudo Back to Eden style build, which is where you plant stuff a little more randomly around the place. You kind of try to build a forest, but the problem with doing that is it's like a 5 or 10 year project. And these people, they don't think that far ahead. As this garden demonstrates, this garden that they have put up is the personification of not thinking things through. Because you can see there is no order to it. There is no rhyme nor reason. Now, you can plant things in semi-random patterns. You can companion plant things. Things don't have to all be in nice, neat, orderly rows in order for you to farm things reliably. It's just doing it that way makes it a shit ton easier. And that's why people have been doing it that way for fucking millennia. Because it makes it easier. But this garden is just a representation of their thought process of doing it. There is no thought process. They are living in the now. They are doing things just as they need them. They are full on bodging this shit together. And the funniest thing is, not only did they create the wall to go around it, there was someone who decided to create, well, I think it was supposed to be a Mortal Kombat tournament for access to the plants and the food. These are the people who are farming your revolution, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not entirely sure what the other person is doing with the cardboard. I think maybe they're trying to punch holes in it so it actually drains rather than just trapping water around the roots of your plants and killing them. Maybe this guy is trying to protect their harvest. As you can see, I think this is a separate garden because there are multitudes of gardens. They've got, I think they've got 3 now. There was this one, which was terrible, which I think is this one, but then they created a second one, which is this one over here. This was, as you can see here, the garden for black and indigenous folk and their plant allies, so they have successfully racially segregated they've racially segregated their farming. Sorry, I'm sorry. The idea that they have enough stuff that they can start racially segregating is just... You don't have enough stuff to start playing this game with each other. Like, they... Oh, God. Yeah, we're back to the point of labeling blacks and whites separately. We've reached the point now. This is progressive now. This is the progress that we've reached now. They don't even have enough resources to be fighting over. And yet they've started to racially segregate it. And I love one thing, which is so funny, like, white people who showed up who had to help out with the groceries and take everything over, they at least planted things. The garden, which is segregated for the black and indigenous populations, has nothing in it. There's nothing growing there. Oh my, it's great. It's great that they think this is they like to, the far left people that we constantly deal with, they like to constantly screech that everyone who disagrees with them is being a reactionary. Now, of course, reactionary is a term for a political belief system. It's usually on the right, but you can have left-leaning reactionaries. And if one of the sort of main points of reactionary politics is wanting to move things backwards to a time that you perceive as being better. And that's what's happening here. This is left-leaning reactionary politics. We have reached that point now. It's like, nope, blacks over there, whites over there, farm your land separately and never work with each other. Progress, ladies and gentlemen. Progress. It's fantastic. So, because of course these gardens that they've got, I can't even look at these. I just want to burst out laughing whenever I see their god-awful attempts at farming. Because, of course, they are running out of food there. They need to have food brought to them constantly. And so, of course, they are experiencing the communist joy, which is food riots. Because when someone comes in to donate food to them, they basically have to swarm to ensure that they get their fair share, as it were. This is just hilarious to me. Like, 2 days until starvation, you did not even think your gardens through. They're not going to be giving you anything for weeks, if not months by now. And now you've got food riots over people bringing you stuff. It's fantastic. And of course, you might be looking at this and you're thinking, well, how exactly are people paying for this? Like, where is the financing coming from for this this endeavor, this anarcho-communist commune which they've got going on? Well, the answer is quite simple. The, look at me, we police now, are going around bringing their thugs with them, and they are shaking down local businesses. So this is something which was posted to, I can't remember off the top of my head where this was posted to, but it's quite an amusing one. I'm a business owner in the area. My business was entered this evening by a group of 6 free Capitol Hill participants who requested I pay $500 to help finance what they said was community security and protection. They said they will accept cash or Bitcoin. I told them I would prefer to pay in the latter in hope it would buy time. They're supposedly coming back tomorrow to give me digital wallet details. None of them actually had that info when they showed up. I'm assuming there's a leader or someone in the group who keeps it. Even $500 is going to be a hit for us, as we only just reopened. I'd rather pay than ask for trouble. I'm also hoping they provide some clarity as to whether this is one-time or a recurring payment, and how often payment is expected. To which someone replied to this, "You clearly never gained an appreciation of the freedoms you were given. Freedoms purchased with the blood of patriots. You are so bereft of understanding you whimper like a child afraid of asking for trouble. Now, pay up. You will be designated racist if you don't, and clearly it is more desirable to avoid a label than to breathe free air." Fantastic. This reminds me. In fact, we'll look at a few more examples of this, I think, and then we'll talk about what this reminds me of. So this was quite an amusing one. A video speech being given about what those white people can do to help those poor coloured people. Sorry, people of colour. That's the preferred racist nomenclature these days.
Okay. I want you to find by the time you leave this autonomous zone, I want you to give $10 to one African American person from this autonomous zone. And if you find that's difficult, if you find it's hard for you to give $10 to people of color, to black people especially, you have to think really critically about, in the future, are you going to actually give up power and land and capital when you have it? If you have a hard time giving up $10, you got to think about, are you really down with this struggle? Are you really down with the movement? Because if that is a challenge for you, then I'm unsure if you're in the right place. So find an African American person. The white people, I see you. I see every single one of you, and I remember your faces. You find that African American person and you give them $10. Cash App, Venmo, $10 in your pocket. That's my challenge to you. Do it.
That's right, chap. You take that $10 and you find a person of color, black people especially. You take that $10 and you hand them over, white boy. You do it. That's right. Just fantastic. This is the world that we live. These people snapping and clapping, these stupid white liberals snapping and clapping at the fact that they are going to be shaken down for those reparations. They're going to be shaken down for that $10. You see this big black cock right here? You see this? You fucking owe this. You owe that. Give that $10 over. Get fucking dunked on, white boy. Mud dick. Etc. So this is of course how they are working. They are basically shaking down local businesses and shaking down retarded white liberals for money. Of course, I can only assume that if you don't pay up, you're probably going to either be mugged, robbed, or thrown out. In fact, you're probably going to be mugged and robbed, then thrown out, because that's how this is going to happen. And how do I know that that's what's going to happen to these people? Well, I know that that's what's going to happen because that's what has happened. So, PSA, lock, secure your tents before leaving. Carry your valuables with you at all times, posted by someone on the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone Reddit. Disclaimer, this happened 2 hours ago and I'm still recovering from the shock as all my valuables have been stolen. I came back from a walk to my tent and all my valuable items were gone. My laptop, a 16-inch MacBook Pro, because of course it was. This meme which I've shoved up here with the iPhone, that's not there just for fun. That's what these people fucking are that you're dealing with. So this person's MacBook Pro got stolen. Their power, I'm not sure what a power bank is. Oh, power, as in the plug things, obviously. We're gonna talk about that as well. We're gonna talk about power and where they're getting it from, because of course it is. And I love this power bank because, you know, they're still on city power. We'll talk about that. Cash, about $400. Who the fuck walks around with just $400 in their pocket like that? That is a sign of someone who's got themselves some privilege. Almost like this little meme-ski thing here has some sort of truth to it there. And an entire backpack with my week's supplies are now gone. I completely zipped up my tent before leaving it, but please don't take for granted and lock it up or bring your valuables with you. How exactly are you going to lock up a tent? Like, you know, if you put a padlock on it, you know, tents are made out of fabric, yeah? You know, fabric has there is one thing in the world which is the fabric's natural enemy. There is a natural predator of fabric. There is something higher in the food chain than fabric. It's called a pair of scissors or a knife. Like, it's adorable. You think that locking your tent is going to stop someone from robbing you. You think putting a little teeny tiny padlock on the zip of your tent is going to stop someone from robbing you. Not gonna work. I mean, is your tent Kevlar? Because, you know, Kevlar doesn't stop knives either. Like, Kevlar's really good against bullets and really fast impacting things, but you can cut Kevlar with a knife. It's not easy, obviously, but you can do it. Like, bulletproof vests aren't actually knife-proof. They're really impact-proof, but you can actually slip sharp things through them. It's a bit of effort, but you can make it happen. But that, just amazing. This is the situation that you are in. Well done. So the surrounding people have been helpful to help look for it, but no luck so far. Boy, I wonder why that is. I've asked around and it's just too chaotic as people are constantly walking around tents all the time. I wonder why. I wonder why people are walking around your tents all the time. I wonder why people are just hanging around there all the time. Edit. I've reached out for help and the council has been kind enough to extend their assistance. I have been subsidized with fresh clothes, snacks, spare power banks and some petty cash to cover my logistics. So, in other words, nowhere near covering the actual loss of your stuff. Fantastic. They are now reviewing webcam and community-sourced footages to help reallocate my items. However, I've been notified that the chances are slim. I'm grateful for the help of anyone. I just hope to get back my MacBook, not because it's expensive, but most of my work is stored in there. Thanks everyone, once again. Fantastic. So, this is what happens, and of course, this will be justified by other people within the community. Please don't leave, we are stronger together. You don't exactly know what happened to your belongings, only that they vanished. To say it is theft is not entirely fair. It could be that a disadvantaged resident was in greater need of those items than you, and that's what we are about as a community. I know it's hard to hear, but treat it as an unplanned donation. You did good today. I'm proud of you. Yes, when your stuff just when your laptop just evaporates into thin air, it vanishes, just the light touches it and it just goes up in smoke and just that's it. It's not theft. You can't say that. Someone just might have needed that thing more than you. And you need to consider their needs ahead of yours. But I love that. Your stuff just vanishes. You knew where it was, and it's not there, and someone moved it without your permission. Let's play a game, chat. Let's play a game. Here. Define theft. The action or crime of stealing. Okay. Define stealing. To take another person's property without permission or legal right, and without right. So theft, the action of crime or stealing, taking someone's property without their permission, your stuff vanished, but it's not fair to say that it was theft. Yes. Welcome to Doublethink, ladies and gentlemen, population the far left. It's not property, so it can't be theft or anything like that, but no, someone else needs it more than you, so they didn't steal it, they really wanted it more than you. Yep, that's what it, I think what this person doesn't understand, this person who had their MacBook stolen, no, not stolen, liberated, who had their property redistributed by force, these people who had their stuff redistributed, I think what this person needs to understand is that although they're pretty bummed out about losing their laptop, someone else somewhere is more happy to have had the laptop than they were sad to lose it. So I think this person needs to understand that as a result of that, the total happiness in the world has grown. So whatever. Am I right, guys? That's how this works, right? Good lord. Welcome to anarcho-communism, ladies and gentlemen. Another example of this, which I find most amusing, is a guy having a meltdown in his car because he was just fucking robbed. You might not be able to hear this because the audio's a bit quiet because the camera's far away.
Fuck is this shit? I just had my keys broken, stolen, got jumped, had my phone stolen, and these fucks let it all happen. Fucking what the fuck? Stay the fuck away from me, you fucks, everyone! Y'all need police around this bitch if you're me! Holy shit! You're alright, man. It's just a bad day. Really? Give me my keys back then! Someone get me those fucking keys from that fuck!
As someone in chat has pointed out, where are the police? Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. This is, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is what is happening now. People are having their stuff stolen and they're having fucking meltdowns because there is no law or order. It's like, call the police, get the... No, there are no police. We police now. We the police now, white boy. So you're not getting any of that stuff back. It's fucking gone. There was another one, another struggle, which I do not think I saved the video from. No, unfortunately, I can't find it immediately. There was actually a thing, because CHAZ, of course, had a road sign put up, and someone was going to go up, I can't remember if they were going to take a sign, put a sign up or take one down, but they had a ladder and they were going to go up this pole. And there was basically a massive disagreement about who was going to go up the ladder and do the thing. And eventually this guy just got off the ladder and the ladder just vanished into the crowd. It just got carried off by this crowd. So this guy just bought a ladder to go and do this thing. And it's like, nope, nope, gone, nope. Ladder is fucking, it just evaporated out into the crowd. It was reallocated. It was redistributed to someone else who really needed a ladder for some fucking reason. God knows why. And as a result of this absolute lawlessness which is going on here, Seattle is now an absolutely wonderful place to live. So the obvious thing which is going to happen here is that people are just, they're having enough of this because, well, if you don't support the cause 110%, you're going to be robbed. You're going to be mugged. You're going to have violence enacted against you and you're going to be kicked out. And all the while, the dumb fucks who are keeping this thing propped up are going to just dance in and out of the zone, going to all of the free market shops around them to buy stuff to bring back in. This entire thing exists purely because there is a large-scale free market economy just outside of it, giving it everything that it needs to keep going. If this society existed in a vacuum as it does, or it would fail. It would fall apart within a week. And frankly, I think it is going to fall apart within a week. And I want to just wind things down with a few considerations here. Because why not? I would love it if Donald Trump helped these people. I would love it if Trump just came out and said, we will recognize the sovereignty of CHAZ. We will help enforce their borders so that people can't just come and go as they please. We will recognize it as a separate area of land. We will enforce our borders with them. We will trade with them. You know, we will continue to export electricity and gas and water to them. There will, of course, be trade tariffs because, you know, there have to be, because you have to export things legally like that. And if CHAZ should enact human rights violations, if CHAZ enacted, where's the thing? I might have closed it. Damn, I did. If CHAZ enacted human rights violations, you know, like mugging people, holding them down, attacking them and telling them to stop hitting, things like, if they continued to violate basic human rights like that, that maybe we could establish some very harsh tariffs or some embargoes or something against this land. Maybe we could sanction the trade a little bit. I would love to see that happen. Like, that's what I want. I want full cooperation with this new glorious nation state. Fully enforce their borders, trade with them like you would any other country, tariff the imports and exports. They have no fucking exports. Tariff any imports coming in, put sanctions on them if you need to, and just let it run its course. Give people like 24, 48 hours and just say, if you stay in there, you are renouncing American citizenship and you will become recognized as a citizen of that nation, and just go from there. Because this thing, like, the mainstream media is attempting to astroturf the ever-loving fuck out of this and make it look like it's all just one giant peace and love festival. There's nothing bad, there's nothing wrong here. This is like the democratic socialist dream state come to life. That is the narrative that's being pushed around this. The reality is very different. While there is some of that going on, there is a lot of dodgy shit going on. There is a lot of violence happening. There are sexual assaults and rapes happening. There's been obviously unconfirmed reports because there's no police force in that area, but unconfirmed estimates have said that rates of sexual assault and things like that have tripled in that area. There are muggings, there are robbings, there are, as we've seen, deportations. But I want this to continue because this is the biggest red pill possible for people who don't know about this. Seeing communism, seeing anarcho-communism in action and seeing it try to sort itself out is going to be the biggest possible fucking red pill on why this shit won't work for people to watch. And I want to say to this, I want to say, I fully support the existence of CHAZ because of that. I have always told anarcho-communists, since the first time that I even found out that they were a thing, that their fucking oxymoronic identity existed, I have told them, do it, faggot. Every single time they've reamed off this list of nonsense about how they think a society should work, I have always said, go and fucking do it then. Make it work. And what a surprise they don't, ever. And this time they're actually trying, and I fully support their effort. But if you're going to do this, I want you to be recognized as the nation that you claim to be, and I want you to be treated the same way that the US would deal with any other nation, especially nations run by gangs which have mass crime problems. Because this CHAZ right now, it is the best TV channel in existence. Watching this thing fuck itself over every step of the way, it is the most fun that I have had watching something online for fucking years now. And another reason that I support these tiny little secession states is because we actually have one in the UK. You might not have heard of it because it's not hugely known about, but there is something called the Principality of Sealand in the UK. It's an old rig off the coast of, it's just off the coast of Suffolk on sort of the southeast coast of the United Kingdom. It declared its independence, as you can see, 1967, and it actually defended itself from an invasion from the Royal Navy, because the Royal Navy was obviously, this was a post set up during the war periods, and obviously it no longer served its purpose after the war and everything came to peace, so the Navy set out to demolish it, and the people who were living on this Principality of Sealand, they defended it from that demolition attempt, and as a result it became recognized as its own place. It's, for some reason, it's called the Principality. I've never really understood that, because they have a monarchy, as far as I'm aware. They have a king, I think, a king and a queen. I'm not entirely, it's a little bit out there. But I love this. I love the existence of this thing, because it proves, again, that, if you want to have your own little state, you can do it. Like, you can absolutely make it happen, and Sealand is a prime example of this. And this is another reason I support CHAZ, because CHAZ is in some ways in a better position than Sealand. The reason being, they have a fully established economy on their doorstep. Like, they don't have to boat anything in and out like that. And they have arable land, whereas Sealand doesn't. Sealand has to get all of their supplies imported. But fantastic. This is why I support this, because CHAZ is hilarious. You are seeing anarcho-communism fail in real time. It's just gonna red pill so many people on why anarcho-communism fails. How does Sealand make money, you ask? Well, Sealand has a gift shop, and the cool thing about this is you can actually, at their shop, you can purchase titles in their land. You can become a dame or a sir. You can become a knight. You can become a count, countess, or a lord or a lady. They've got other merchandise. They've got stamps which are legally recognized. You can even buy sea territory. It's on I think it's a 5 or 10 year rolling contract. If you buy a piece of, you can actually own a small piece of the land. But yeah, you can do that. They live, a large part of their economy is based on effectively donations and trading like this. It's fantastic. I love Sealand purely because of what it represents, and it's great. It's fantastic, and just I want CHAZ to continue. Just please keep going. Because you're fucking everything up at every step of the way. You are making it look like an absolute hellscape that it is. And you are just showing people all around the world why anarcho-communism and your progressive stack ideals will fail every single time. You've got rampant assault problems, rampant mugging, theft of all kinds. You've got business owners who are unfortunately stuck in the area being shaken down for payments, and you've got people being forced to hand over $10 to every non-white person that they see like that. That reminds me, chat, before we go away, I'm going to tell you a story. We're going to end on story time, chat. Why not? Let's all gather round, chat. Sit on the carpet all around me. Gather round. I shall tell you a tale. It is a tale I have told once before, but it is a fantastic tale, and so I shall tell it again for those of you who have not heard it. I once had a discussion with an anarcho-communist, and I was asking them questions about how they were going to make their state and how they were going to enforce the existence of their state. Because obviously they can't own the world, they have to have a certain area that they operate in, and that area must be operated according to everything else. You can't have cookies, chat. I don't have cookies, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go and get your own cookies and milk, and then you can have cookies, get your own cookies and milk, we'll have story time, and then you can have a nap, okay? You can have your afternoon naps, it's going to be great. And so I was chatting with this person. I was like, okay, so how are you going to enforce rules in your state, and how are you going to force the existence of your state? And they said, well, we'll have to have like a voluntary police force and a voluntary, enforcement military force. And I said, okay, how are you going to do that if people don't want to do it? Let's say that you don't have enough people who are like, look, I'm a pacifist. I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill. I don't know violence, nothing like that. And that's how your people, that's how they operate. So you don't have enough, and you don't have the funding because no one wants to donate to you or anything like that. And they said, well, obviously we'd have to have some sort of social mechanism to ensure that people would give money and time to this military or police, or this pseudo enforcement effort. I was like, oh, okay, so you're going to tax people? And he was like, no, it won't be a tax, but people would have to, they'd have to give in some capacity. I was like, okay, so, but how would you ensure that happened? Like, how would you ensure that it wasn't just a bunch of people going around saying, you haven't paid and give it to me because I'll give it, and, to stop it like that? They were like, well, we'd have to have some sort of voluntary body that everyone voted for that would ensure that people did this. I was like, oh, okay, so you would have a group, like a central authority figure that went around and took people's money, resources, and time, possibly their children as well, because you need to have that national. So you'd have an organization that did that, but it's not a government. And he was like, no, it definitely wouldn't be a government. It would be a voluntary collective that would, ensure that people paid in their time and their money and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, so it wouldn't be a government, but it would, under threat of violence or expulsion, take people's money and time. It's not a government. Oh, you're going to have a mafia. That's what you've described. You have just said that your state is going to be run by a fucking mafia. And this guy's response, and I will know this forever because it is burned into my brain. What's the phrase people use? Indelible to my hippocampus, or whatever nonsense that phrase is. I will never forget this, because their response was not, no, it's not a mafia, you've got it all wrong. It's nothing like that. No, that was not their response. Their response was, well, mafia is such a loaded term. It's got such negative connotations. And at that point, I burst out laughing. And I haven't laughed that hard or that long in a very long time. It's one of those things, I heard it on Friday, and I did not stop laughing until about the middle of Monday. It was at the point where I had to be admitted to hospital with chronic dehydration because I had just been laughing for that long and that hard. I could not drink or eat anything. Like, it full-on hospitalization. Anarcho-communism nearly killed me, ladies and gentlemen. Nearly killed me. Completely unintentionally. There was no violence, but it nearly killed me as a result of that. It was fantastic. Just glorious. One of the best things that I have ever heard in my life. And speaking of best things that we have ever heard in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, I do think that is that's going to be the end of the stream. I'm going to wind things down a little bit. Let's see if I can locate dem chat messages, which are very, very important, because we must, of course, show our appreciation for people who have decided to hand over some pennies. They've decided to plink me in the face with those coins. So the stream is done, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to chat with the super chats, chat with the chats. We're going to see what chatly things chat has said. If you're not interested in this, feel free to leave us here, ladies and gentlemen. Story time is over. Hopefully you've had your cookies and milk. You can now go and unroll your sleeping mat, get your head down, have your little have your little afternoon nap. It's going to be great. And if you'd like to stick around and listen, you can feel free to do that. Or, you can just leave this on in the background, and hopefully my dull, monotonous, boring voice will lull you into a nice afternoon sleep. So, let's see what chat has been up to while I've been giving you this presentation on the glorious Ancommistan. What were the other names for it? Tardisuela, Soy something, or I can't remember the name of the other one, actually. What was it? The name escapes me. I'm sure I'll remember it at some point. So, I had Mario Carter 13 saying, despite being 13% of the population, 100% of failure. Yes, anarcho-communism represents 100% of all failures. They are omnipresent in Somalia. That was it. Thank you very much. But yes, they are omnipresent. Roma MGTOW says Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Someone calls Sonic. Yes, that Capitol Hill Autonomous, that actually does sound like it should be a Sonic the Hedgehog zone, doesn't it? And it fits because they have sped run their way. They've sped run their way straight into all the failures that every communist regime has ever had. It's fantastic. Breakdancing Express, big ups to the homeless people that keep screwing with CHAZ or Chump or whatever they're called. Yes, of course, we have to take a moment to appreciate the homeless people, the homeless population of CHAZ, who of course take most of the free food that's on offer, as they should, I think, because of course, it's communist, it's communally owned like that. It's very important that they get in there. So Mike Depew says, who will be the John Spartan of the Soviet Union? Couldn't tell you. We'll see if any martyrs do bring themselves forward. Rocket Insano, they don't like people using their own tactics. Yes, this is, I assume, in relation to the violence that we're seeing being enacted against people that they don't like. Yeah, they're very big into using violence to shut down people that they don't like, but you can't be violent to them because reasons. Devanor says, as a farmer, this hurts my soul. Yes, their gardens are awful. My soul weeps for those plants because many of them will be dead very shortly. Ben Z says, bro Lamau, they have zero life skills. Yes. Like, the meme that is on the screen, the placeholder here, it's not an exaggeration. That's the kind of people that you're dealing with when you're dealing with Ancoms. Colix81, Seattle Holodomor. Well, one can only hope, right? Opus, Domino's does deliveries to CHAZ, you've heard. Well, I mean, those pizzas are going to be redistributed very quickly, I would imagine. Ben said again, these are the same people that trash talk farmers. Yes, they are. You will find a lot of people on the far left, they tend to not like what they call the flyover states, which is obviously where large parts of America's farming is done, because you have large areas of land where nothing else happens. So a lot of people were like, I can turn this into farmland. And so they did. And of course, yes, you find a lot of these city-bound liberals, they don't like those farmers very much. Those people who feed them and clothe them and provide that really, really important cornerstone of society that every single society has been built on, like agriculture, the single most important thing for society. And they hate people who do it. And it's very amusing, then watching them try and fail at basic agriculture, the kind of things that 5-year-olds can do, but they fail at that. Devanor once more, breathe, Dildir, breathe. I can't. I'm sorry. I see their farmland and I must laugh. It's a reflex. I can't control it. I apologize. Easy E, nothing exemplarized the inefficiency and unawareness of these people more than the Ziploc bags of Sprite picture. The Ziploc bags of Sprite picture? What is that? I don't know. Someone had to pour it out of a perfectly good bottle or can into a goddamn bag. Oh, like Sprite the drink. Why are they doing that? Why? What? Are they Canadian? They're pouring their drinks into bags for some reason? Why? Why would they do that? It's weird. Anyway, Sam Lord does not say anything. Well, thank you very much for that. My throat appreciates the break that you have permitted me to have with this, even though I've been speaking throughout that entire break. Well, you tried, so thank you very much. Killix81, they've been segregating the uni dorms for a while. Well, everything's being segregated now. Segregation is progress now, ladies and gentlemen. That's how far forward we're going. Oh, they just jumped everywhere. Devanor, sounds like not rape, it's a snuggle struggle. Yes, struggle snuggle, that's what it is. Like, rape doesn't happen in CHAZ, everyone just struggle snuggles. We've seen that they're totally okay with sexually assaulting people out in the open. You know, the crowd will even cheer you on while you're forcibly restraining a man and kissing him against his will. Not rape or sexual assault, though. Definitely, no. Nothing illegal about that. The seventh candidate. It's a pretty neat social experiment, though. Look forward to the test of non-lethal area denial weapons. Yes, please do. Like, Trump, please, recognize CHAZ as a nation, vigorously enforce your borders with them, please. Please, it will make me so very happy. Easy E, forget building a wall, put them in a dome like the Simpsons movie. Actually, I kind of support that, because that way we can still watch. Like, you can even watch in at ground height, and you can really see all the action. And of course, another cool thing is if you put them in a dome, they'll have their own microclimate, and what it might do is stop all of their plants from getting too wet. Like, it'll stop all the soil washing off the cardboard because of all the rain. So they might be able to get their own little microclimate. You'll turn it into a greenhouse. Like, you'll actually make their plants grow better than their effort, because their effort is fucking awful. Yes, build the dome. Build the dome. Build the dome. Do it. Do it. Come on, Trump. Dome it. Make it happen. Ninja012, take my money. Well, thank you very much. I will do that. It has been reallocated, redistributed. Thank you. So, Rocket Insano, capitalism is evil. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, capitalism truly the worst thing imaginable. There's nothing worse than capitalism, ever. Nope. It's totally not been really useful to form free markets and make things work, but nope, definitely the worst thing ever imaginable. And then Devanor once again with nothing, giving me a nice little break there. But thank you for your contributions, ladies and gentlemen. They are all accepted very graciously. All of you who have done so, all of you who have given, you are far too kind, certainly more kind than I feel like I deserve. But thank you very much for your contributions, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that the stream has been suitably entertaining for you. I hope it has been suitable recompense, that I have earned my daily bread, that I have danced suitably like a monkey in a suit for your amusement for the last hour and a bit. 2 hours, however long it's been. YouTube always lies about how long the streams have been, but hopefully it has entertained you, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully it has been informative. Hopefully you have seen some of the more interesting bits of information coming out of CHAZ, some of which you might not have been aware of, because of course a lot of it is being swept under the rug, particularly the more violent and aggressive parts of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who have put yourselves down for a nice afternoon nap after story time and cookies and milk, hopefully you are all suitably comfy and cozy, and now you're going to have a nice little sleep. I wish you pleasant dreams, chat, and I will see you the next time something very amusing happens. Possibly like CHAZ going completely insane and exploding itself or something, or hopefully CHAZ being recognized as the nation that it should be and dealt with accordingly. Thank you very much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all the next time.